Eliza Harper was a name synonymous with dermatological breakthroughs. Her research in skin regeneration had earned her accolades and fame, and she was on the verge of a discovery that promised to change the field forever. Her journey began in the heart of the Amazon rainforest, where she sought a rare plant rumored to possess miraculous healing properties. The locals spoke of it in hushed tones, calling it La Flor de la Vida, the flower of life. Eliza, driven by her relentless pursuit of perfection and a personal battle with a chronic skin condition, was determined to harness its power. Black Hollow, the small, eerie town where Eliza's lab was located, seemed a fitting backdrop for her dark experiments. Nestled in a valley perpetually shrouded in mist, Black Hollow was a place where the sun rarely pierced the thick canopy of trees. The townsfolk were a superstitious lot, wary of outsiders, and the strange happenings that seemed to plague the town. Eliza, with her singular focus, paid them little mind, isolating herself in her state-of-the-art laboratory on the outskirts of town. Upon returning from the Amazon, Eliza wasted no time in extracting the essence of the flower of life. She created a serum, an emerald green liquid that shimmered with an unnatural glow. Her first test subject was herself. She injected the serum into her forearm, watching with a mixture of hope and trepidation as the liquid disappeared beneath her skin. The effects were immediate and astonishing. Her skin, once marred by scars and blemishes, became flawless, radiant, and youthful. For the first few days, Eliza reveled in her newfound beauty. The serum seemed to be everything she had hoped for and more. Her colleagues marveled at her transformation, and the scientific community buzzed with anticipation. But as the days turned into weeks, Eliza began to notice unsettling changes. Her skin, once smooth and perfect, started to feel tight and itchy. She dismissed it, at first, attributing it to the initial adjustment period. However, the discomfort soon turned into pain, and she found herself scratching incessantly. One morning, Eliza woke to find a patch of her skin peeling away like the layers of an onion. But as the days turned into weeks, Eliza began to notice unsettling changes. Her skin, once smooth and perfect, started to feel tight and itchy. She dismissed it at first, attributing it to the initial adjustment period. However, the discomfort soon turned into pain, and she found herself scratching incessantly. One morning, Eliza woke to find a patch of her skin peeling away like the layers of an onion. Horrified, she watched as the translucent sheet came off in her hands, revealing a new layer of skin underneath. Pale, fragile, and almost glowing. At first, she was fascinated, but as the peeling continued, she realized something was terribly wrong. Each time her skin shed, the new layer was thinner and more sensitive. She could see the pulsating veins and muscles beneath, a grotesque tapestry of red and blue. Eliza's world began to unravel. The pain was relentless, and she started to lose her ability to feel physical sensations. Objects she touched felt distant, as if a barrier separated her from reality. Her colleagues noticed her deteriorating condition, but she brushed off their concerns, insisting she was fine. In truth, she was terrified. The serum that had promised so much was turning her into a monster. As her transformation progressed, Eliza became increasingly detached from reality. She spent hours in front of the mirror, watching in horror as her humanity peeled away layer by layer. The reflection that stared back at her was no longer recognizable. Her eyes, once bright with ambition, were now hollow and vacant. Her skin, or what was left of it, hung in shreds, revealing the grotesque landscape beneath. Desperate for a solution, Eliza delved into her research, searching for a way to reverse the process. She pored over ancient texts and obscure medical journals, hoping to find a clue. Her nights were sleepless, filled with nightmares of her skin falling away completely, leaving nothing but a skeletal frame. The town of Black Hollow seemed to close in on her, its shadowy presence a constant reminder of her impending doom. One evening, as she was about to reach a breakthrough, the pain became unbearable. She clutched her desk, her vision blurring. The room seemed to spin, and she felt herself slipping away. But just as she was about to lose consciousness, a thought pierced through the haze: the serum. She needed to analyze its composition, find the flaw, and create an antidote. Eliza's frantic search led her to the realization that the serum's key ingredient, the flower of life, was not a natural healer, but a parasitic entity. It fed off its host, regenerating at the cost of the host's flesh. The plant's true nature had been hidden beneath layers of myth and superstition. Eliza's only hope was to find a counteragent, something to halt the parasitic process and restore her skin. But time was running out. Her body was rapidly deteriorating, and she could feel the parasite's grip tightening. In a desperate bid, Eliza isolated a compound she believed could work as an antidote. She injected it into her arm, praying it would stop the shedding. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a searing pain shot through her body, worse than anything she had experienced. She fell to the floor, convulsing, as the antidote battled the parasite within her. Hours later, she awoke, drenched in sweat. The pain had subsided, but she felt weaker than ever. She crawled to the mirror, dreading what she might see. Her skin, though still translucent and fragile, seemed to have stopped shedding. The veins and muscles beneath were still visible, but the grotesque peeling had ceased. It was a temporary reprieve, but it gave her hope. However, this relief was short-lived. Eliza soon realized that the antidote had only halted the shedding, not the transformation. Her senses began to warp, her hunger grew insatiable, and she found herself craving something more primal than food. One night, driven by an overwhelming urge, she wandered into the town of Black Hollow. the moon casting an eerie glow over the silent streets. As she passed by a butcher shop, the smell of raw meat made her mouth water. She broke in, tearing at the slabs of meat with feral desperation. But it wasn't enough. Her craving grew stronger, darker, until she could no longer resist the call of flesh. Her mind, once sharp and scientific, became a whirlpool of primal instincts and insidious hunger. Days later, reports of missing pets and strange sightings began to circulate in Black Hollow. People whispered of a creature lurking in the shadows, a beast with a hauntingly familiar face. Eliza had become a creature of the night. Her humanity stripped away, leaving only a ravenous predator in its place. She roamed the town, her once brilliant mind now consumed by the insatiable need to feed. Her encounters with the townsfolk were swift and brutal, leaving behind nothing but fear and horror. The serum that promised perfection had turned her into a monster. A cautionary tale of unchecked ambition and the dark side of scientific curiosity. One night, as the town held a desperate meeting to decide how to handle the creature terrorizing their streets, Eliza found herself drawn to the old mansion on the outskirts of town. She had become a legend, a ghost story whispered around flickering campfires. But in the deepest recesses of her mind, a flicker of her former self remained, a flicker that led her back to where it all began. She stood before the mansion, her reflection in the cracked windows a ghastly parody of the woman she once was. With a final, desperate effort, she clawed her way inside, seeking the lab where her transformation had begun. As she collapsed on the cold, sterile floor, memories of her past life flooded back, bringing with them a crushing wave of despair. Eliza knew she was beyond salvation, but a part of her hoped that her story would serve as a warning to those who followed in her footsteps. Her mind, once a beacon of scientific progress, now succumbed to the darkness, her thoughts consumed by the endless hunger that defined her existence. And so, dear viewers, we leave you with this question. What price would you pay for perfection? Would you risk your very humanity for a chance at flawless beauty? Share your thoughts and fears in the comments below. Until next time, remember, the quest for perfection can lead to monstrous ends. And sometimes, the monsters are closer than you think. If this tale of transformation and terror has gripped your soul with fear, show your appreciation by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Your support keeps the shadows at bay and the stories flowing.